Happy holidays once again. We're here for video 3 of this special holiday series of lessons and bonuses and stuff. If you didn't see the other 2 videos, go back and watch those. Video 1 was all about jamming and getting creative. We used the E blues scale. Video 2 was about teaching you some riffs and tricks, and there's free downloads with those, and the bonuses are in those videos, how to get them in the school store at the Fiddle Jam Institute. So I hope you're enjoying that. If you're here with us again, welcome back. And that is something, I guess, those are I'm here to address the 3rd pillar of my approaches at the Fiddle Jam Institute. Number 1 is getting people creative, getting violinists creative, maybe who didn't learn to be creative when they started. Most violin pedagogy is just by the book, by the note. You learn your Suzuki pieces, that's all there is. You'll never learn to jam and have fun and make up stuff. So that's the first thing that cracks you open. The next thing then that people have trouble with is they don't have the vocabulary. They don't know what to play. They don't know the cool stuff. So I have a whole book of stuff. Well, I keep talking this stuff. These things are for sale in the school store as well. The Fiddle Jam book, the physical book. It's all over the world. It's published by Hal Leonard. I'm kind of proud of that. And that gets you jamming. The other book that I wrote is the book of licks and tricks. Fiddle Jam, Rock and Blues, Fiddle Jam, Etudes. Vocabulary building. So it gives you all the cool stuff that I've developed for myself over the past 40 years of jamming on the violin. And jazz fusion bands, and blues groups, and some fiddling, and Cajun music, and gypsy jazz, all these things. So I've definitely been an alternative fiddler. That's a term that's been thrown around. And so I'm trying to teach what I do to folks for the last 20 years or so. So now here we are in video 3, and it's about knowledge, the 3rd pillar to call it. I'm calling it today at least. And it's one thing to be a little creative, another thing to have some few licks and riffs to play. It's another thing to actually know what you're doing and know what you're talking about and be able to replicate it in different keys, in different situations, different musics. The basics are all the same. Now if you're a classically trained violinist, you would have learned classical music theory. I don't like calling it that because theory is an unproven concept. You know, it's like we think that's what it is. And there are some things with music that we don't know what they are. But, it's more about philosophy at that point. Like, what is a beat? We don't know how this pulse thing works. It's in us, it's outside us, we all feel it together. That's all magic to me. But that's another subject, and there's videos about that on the site. By the way, the website has hundreds of lessons. If you want to join the site as an all-access pass member, it's only, at this point, $29.95 a month. I think it's a pretty good deal. It gives you full access to the library. Every lesson that I got in there, you get full access to the whole shebang. So it's something you could do. You can buy a book. That's cool. I'm here to, sell stuff too. That's part of what I'm doing. I'm going to offer you a special deal at the end of this video and end of this series too. A deal you won't be able to refuse. Irresistible. You can't refuse it. So the knowledge part. If you know what's called the number system, you're in the club. Now again, if you learn classical music theory, you'll learn the intervals in your music theory class probably, and they are based on the major scale. The major scale, if you don't know, is the do, re, mi. Everybody's heard that in the world probably. It's been pretty popular the last 500 years or so. I don't think it's the best scale, but it's the most popular and it's the strongest sounding one. So in music, we do this thing when we were figuring out how to write stuff down and explain it to other musicians. We always take the most common thing and base everything on it. This is a perfect example of that. The do, re, mi is the most common scale. For jamming and hip purposes, it's not very hip. It's not very, cool. So I'm going to teach you a couple different ways to make it cool and learn the ins and outs of the mechanics of it. I like to call it music mechanics. Matter of fact, I did a whole course that's available separately in the store at the Fiddle Jam Institute. Music Mechanics 101. It teaches you all the stuff about chords and chord numbers. We'll get into that in a minute. Let's start with the note numbers. I'm not going to get too much into chords right here in this video. I'm just going to introduce you to the number system. All right? This system is actually more prevalent on the bandstand in a group situation than actually reading music or telling what key you're in or anything else a lot of times. The reason for that is because other instruments, especially in the horn world, don't use the same pitches as us. Well, they use the same pitches, but they don't use the same letter names. If you tell a tenor saxophone player to play what they learned is C, when they play their C, it comes out as our B flat. freaky, I know. A bunch of the horns are like that. So because of these things are weird in the music world, we tend to speak in more general terms, and number system is the way we cover it. If the horn player is thinking in their C, you tell them play 1, and they play the C. They're what they know is C. If we play our D, we say to play 1, and it's our D. So that's how it is. The first note of the key is note number 1. Make sense? D, and let's use the D major scale. D is 1, the second note is 2, the third note is 3, the fourth note is 4, the fifth note is 5, the sixth note is 6, the seventh note is 7, and the eighth note is 8, which is the same as 1. The octave. Pretty simple, isn't it? That's all there is to it. So now let's get to learn it a little bit. If you mess around, there's many lessons on the site about this, a whole course about this, the Fiddle Jam Institute, Music Mechanics 101. I have another course that, by the way, that's Fiddle Jam 101, gets you to jam and goes further than the book. And I've also produced, as long as I'm speaking about courses, last year it's quite fun, it was pretty successful, a blues violin course. So if you're into the blues and want to play that in the fiddle, that's out there. All 3 of those courses are out there. All right? We'll talk more about that in a minute. But back to this note number system. Now, if I'm going to give you a coolness factor right away, there's this thing called major pentatonic. You've heard me speaking of minor pentatonic in the last video. Major pentatonic is quite simple, and most fiddle tunes are based on it. So right away you'll be hearing this. So here's the magic sequence, and I'll give you a little sheet to download for free. If you use the coupon code, will be Holiday Bonus 3. All capitals, no spaces. So, major pentatonic in D is the first note, the second note, the third note. It skips the fourth note. It jumps to the fifth note, uses the sixth note, and skips the seventh note. And 8 is the same as 1. Just try those notes. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8. Some people call it the My Girl scale, the pop tune in the 60s. My Girl. I got sunshine. All right. But listen to me mess around with those notes, or mess around with them yourself. A little bit countrified, less than the blues for sure, but all of a sudden it's kind of cool, isn't it? And it sounds like a fiddle tune. A little more happy than the blues for sure. And I just took it outside of the first octave. So those notes were D's, E's, F sharps, A's, and B's in the key of D. And you can go those same letter names anywhere in the violin. B, A, F sharp, E, D, B, A, F sharp, E, D, B, A. All right, countless fiddle tunes. Angela and the Baker comes to mind. Use those notes. And if you open up the Fiddler's Fake Book, there's hundreds of songs that use in that key, only those notes. So that's the secret formula for major pentatonic. It gives you one little coolness factor past major scales. Skip the fourth, skip the seventh, play 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. All right? That gets you started with major pentatonic. But the real coolness, get away with murder scale, is the blues scales we've experienced in the first couple of videos already. So how do you make a blues scale with this number system thing? It's another formula. And without overthinking it too much, it's this. You play the first note, skip the second note, no E. And you take the third note and lower it a half step. Already it's got that sound, right? A little more serious minor sound. All right, skip 1, skip the second note, which is the first finger. Don't get confused about fingers. This is not finger numbers. This is note numbers. The first note, the third note lowered. Then we use the fourth note, which is a stretch for, space from low 2 to 3 if you're new to violin. All right, that's the fourth note, as it was in major. The fifth note's the same as major. We skip the sixth. We take the seventh note and lower that a half step 2. So lower the seventh note, lower the third note. So it's 1, flatted 3, as we call it. Even though it's not a flatted note, it's a lowered from the standard, which is major. 4, 5, 7, flatted 7, 8. Now notice this is a symmetrical fingering again. Yes, this is another one of my easy zones. It's in the Fiddle Jam book. There's a whole tune dedicated to this. So 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 8. In this key, it's open, low 2, 3, open, low 2, 3. Pretty easy, right? You can jam till the cows come home. You can fit it over a major chord. You can fit it over a minor chord. We can get into that stuff more in the music mechanics course as well. So that's the formula to get the secret coolness factor of the blues scale. The other note that you've heard me mention, the number in other videos is the flatted 5th. So in the key of D, the violin is usually tuned in fifths. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. They're all 5 apart from it. G, A, B, C, D. Right? They're all in fifths. So that's something a trick to remember. If you want to know the 5th note, just go 1 string over. So D, A is a 5th. So how do you flat the 5th? Well, if you're new to violin, you can't flat an open string, so you got to go back down to the D string, and it's A flatted. So 4th finger A flat. So you can throw in that note as a coolness factor. So open, low 2, 3, the flatted 5th. I bet you're hearing riffs already. Mess around with that. Now you can do it in different keys too. Let's do it in the key of G. Skip the 2nd, flatted 2, lower the 2nd finger to flatted 3, 4, flat 5, skip the 6, and flat 7. Key of A, flat 3, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 7, and 8. The cool thing about the A blues scale on the violin is it got a double easy zone. On this octave, it's open, low 2, 3, open, low 2, 3, if we don't talk about the flat 5th. So that's A, C, D, E, G, and A, of course. Down in the bottom 2 strings, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G. So check it out. A is the 1st finger, C is the 3rd finger, D is the 4th note of the scale, E is the 1st finger, 5th note, and the flatted 7. Because the regular 7 in the key of A is G sharp, if you know your major scales. So on the bottom 2 strings, there's a G there too. 1, 3, open 1, 3. And on the top 2 strings, open, low 2, 3, open, low 2, 3. All the same letter names. A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G. Okay? Kind of cool. So in the Fiddle Jam book, there's got a double easy zone for the key of A. And any other key, there's 12 keys. Fingering wise, there's 15 keys if you're a reader to know, and because some of them are double. And you can take any major scale, skip the 2nd note, flat the 3rd note, do the 4th and 5th note, skip the 6th note, flat the 7th note, and you got the blues sound no matter where you are. So no matter what key you're in, you can kind of figure it out. If the picking party, they're saying, sit in and jam with us, come on, you can use one of those 2 scales, the major pentatonic or the blues, which is a minor pentatonic, and it's actually called the blues when you add that flat 5th in officially. But it's all about the same. Mess around with it, smush around with it, slide them around, start getting creative, start learning some of your own riffs and steal them from me. That's cool, because if you want to get really good with this stuff, I got a super deal for you. All right. Again, you can get these bonuses by going to the store and the Fiddle Jam Institute and getting the free bonus if you use the coupon. Holiday bonus 3 will get you the sheet for this one about the number system. And like I said, I didn't get much into the chord number system, but that's important too. I have a whole course based on that called Music Mechanics 101, and I have the jamming course, the Fiddle Jam 101, and I have the blues violin course, They are available separately in the school store, separately from the regular all-access pass membership. But what if I gave you a deal for the holidays? I'm feeling pretty generous and pretty thankful and gratitude for all the support that everybody's given me. I think I'm going to offer a super duper deal where I give you everything for one low price. It's a one-time thing. It's going to be, I'm just going to run it for about a week. I can't do it forever. I'd be out of business. So what if I gave you a lifetime pass to everything that I have in the library at the Fiddle Jam Institute, and everything I will produce in the future, God willing, as long as I live. And I'll give you access to the Fiddle Jam 101 course. I'll give you the access to the music mechanics course, and I'll give you access to the blues violin course, which I love to do. And I'm going to even throw in that I think I'm going to produce a new course for beginners called Bucket List Fiddle Jam in this coming year. You'd have grandfathered access to that. You'd have also grandfathered access, like I said, to every new lesson I make in the future. And I think I'll even throw in the digital copies of the Fiddle Jam book and the Etudes book, you know, the Lick and Trick book. What a package. I think I'm going to throw that in the next video. I'm going to announce that officially for a pretty darn low price to give you a chance to get everything I got grandfathered in for life. How's that sound? I'm not going to give away the price right now, but go to the site, get the free stuff, and stay in touch. Sign up for the free newsletter if you want, and we'll go from there. All right? I'll see you in the next video very soon. I'm kind of excited. I hope you're excited. I hope you can get much benefit out of what I had to offer, and it changes your life and opens up new avenues for you musically and personally as you meet new people and jam with people and have whole new communities. And so, amen. I hope it's great stuff, and we'll talk to you soon.